I guess first thing to go over was how did this play? I don't think I had my audio. I think I was in a meeting for the beginning of this. Did you pick Black Stake?
Uh, yeah, I remember actually it might have been you or there were some people in chat like were like, "Oh, pick green steak, pick this, pick that." And I was like, I didn't want to do white steak. I knew that because I just think in a situation like this, you're playing against DrSpectred. If I give him white steak, he's just it is not a competition. Like he knows the pacing better
Yes.
than anybody pretty much, right? So if you give him that much wiggle room, even if he makes a mistake here or there, like it's just going to make it a lot easier for him to recover. So like not that black steak is that much more difficult, but it was kind of more of like a bit of a warm up for me. I just knew I didn't want white steak, so I was like, okay, well, let's maybe ease into it and not overwhelm myself either, because as much as I wanted to do gold steak, I was like things like perishables and rentals and stuff, I didn't want to deal with that in the first match. So that was just kind of the justification, just like a little bit difficulty added, but not too much. So
Yeah. I mean I got no commentary on it. I think it's a good pick. I think Black and above is smart against Doctor because it allows for some divergence of the runs, especially with the Eternals. Like maybe you get a knock differently than he does, and that could give you an advantage because Doc is just always going to be able to min max the economy and the deck manipulation like perfectly. Like it's really hard to compete with him on that level. You have to compete with him on some of the other decision making, maybe.
yes.
So I think that's smart. So if we're gonna play, and the first thing I have to say is you do skip for the hollow, and I'm not disagreeing, but I want to hear the thought process of why you skipped for the hollow.
So I'll soon sound like a broken record. Much of the skip fours was like, it was like an anti-doctor thing. I was like, I'm doing this because I know he's not going to do this right now, or very unlikely to do it. So I was trying to create that like divergence where maybe I get lucky. Maybe it's a hollow, insert something. It could be an economy generator or something, which would be really helpful for me. So you'll see what I do with this pretty soon. But basically, yeah, I was trying to it wasn't so much like, oh, I think like hollow is gonna help me get my first victory against them because it's like the plus 10. I was just trying to more like see yeah, what it lands on, and it being free. It was just kind of a shot in the dark, I guess, more or less. So that from like it's probably not smart to do that sort of stuff against Doctor, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe it is smart because, like, if I just try to do what I think Doctor will do, he's just gonna do it better than me, right? That's the sad reality of it. Like, so I need to try to find like a different divergent path, and then once I get on that path, okay, try to play smart. Like, okay, what would Doctor do in this situation, right? So it's just like, because I know we're on the same seed, we're gonna get generally the same shops or things like that, but maybe if I get like a skip for a rare tag or something, like I could fluke into something helpful.
So this would be my advice to you. It's going to be my advice to anybody who plays Eli. And I'm lucky I have experience, and this is this is coming from someone who did the exact same thing the first 4 or 5 times I played DrSpectred.
Yeah.
You gotta have faith in yourself. So I tried doing this the first 4 or 5 times I played Doc and just got my butt kicked. And then I realized, like, let me just trust that I can make the best decisions I think for my game, not worry about Eli, and see if I can beat him. And when I did that, I won 3 in a row.
That's fair. That's fair. But let me just say, I did beat him 2 out of 3 times on
No, I know.
Thursday as well. Kind of in a similar of like I do trust myself at times, right? But like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, I there's certain things I'm not gonna skip for, just like to cause like total chaos.
And I think your decision making, like having that thought process in Gold Stake, might be a place where it creates enough chaos where you're gonna have a decent win percentage. But I think we'll see in this game. I think there's a few points where I think you could have made a decision that maybe wins you the game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this holographic skip, it's not the end of the world. I would have preferred to see both shops. I think that maybe would have allowed you also to just see what's in that second shop window if you technically rerolled here or what have you. But you end up with a pretty solid start. I think it's 50-50 here on buying the pants. I lean towards, even on black stake, just get that. Well, actually, okay. I'll say I think on gold stake this was the right play. I think on black stake you have enough scoring just with the holographic spaceman that you didn't need to do it.
I think I mean, looking back too, so my kind of what I've learned as well, and not just with Doctor, but like playing against you. So here I'm like, okay, well, we got the pants. I've got the Space Joker. Okay, so I can scale the pants for flat mall. I can also have a good chance to level up my my 2 pair. And that helps. I think we'll probably see. I don't quite remember exactly how, like, you know, a lot of these matches go. But especially now, yeah, so I get the dice, so I'm like, okay, here we go. We're gonna level it up a lot. And that helps a lot in the early-ish games. I think it got me a couple wins early on. Because, you know, okay, the 10 holo on the Space Joker is nice. The pants are going to be going up. We're going to level up our 2 pair. And I didn't know if Doctor hit the road. I kind of thought he might, you know. I figured, like, yeah, he's going to make a bunch of jacks and, like, you know, and do that. But I was like, okay, this is going to help me get some early wins. And maybe that's, like, just enough. Maybe he's not lucky enough on the seed to get something that, or like he can't do deck fixing quick enough. To like make up for the early losses, right? That's kind of been my strategy for a lot of this stuff. And it doesn't always work out. You know, it seems to be just like perfectly timed. I get my opponent down to 1 life. Or they get down to 1 life in whatever fashion, and then they're just like, all right. And they make the comeback, right? So, yeah, that's an issue I've had.
No, exactly. And I said it in Nito's stream. I think it said to you, I've been playing a lot of ranked multiplayer, which is slightly different, but it's essentially the same game. We're just playing with slightly different rule set, right?
Yeah.
And I got up to #1 ranked in the world for a brief moment before I lost like 5 in a row. But I got to say, like 75% of my victories, I'm down 4-1 or 3-1, and I'm building economy, and then I have the comeback. It's really hard in multiplayer, I think, in this rule set or in the ranked rule set, regardless with the 4 lives, to, as Raffle said, Zerg rush your opponent, like just blitz them, and then they don't have time. It's possible, I think, on gold stake more so, which is why I really like your choice for the last 2 games. I like how you played them. So, taking a step back, I think the pants are a little bit more okay because you do have the hit the road where you're going to get that mult in the Joker slot. So, pants is getting multiplied a bit, especially for the first one. However, here, Was there any thought process here to grab the negative clown, like to sell some stuff off here?
No. So I think my thinking was like, I mean, I guess like what would I have sold? And because I had the Space Joker already, you know, the dice that, you know, that just seemed like a good thing to have. And then also if I got some lucky cards, right? Like the dice is really nice for that because it can help you make economy. But I was like, you know, what would I sell? The hack it alone wouldn't be enough. But if I could, you know, be playing two pairs and make a bunch of jacks, make a bunch of like, I don't know, 2s or 5s or whatever, then you know, maybe I could then pop some glass on those low cards and re-trigger them. And so that was kind of my thinking was like, you know, I didn't want to throw away stuff that I felt like I could build towards for the expensive negative that'll give me the reroll, which I mean, in hindsight is probably a pretty big mistake. But I just, yeah, it was just like okay, I'm trying to rush them. I'm trying to scale a little bit here. I didn't want to give that up for the rerolls. So that's that. It's a tough, and even if like knowing like how disappointed you are in me in this moment, I don't know if I would have done things differently if I were to be in this situation again right now.
Well, let me try and sell you on it, because I think there's a key thing that happened that I think most people watching or playing multiplayer maybe don't understand the gravity of, and that is, you know, we're talking about divergence here. What did you do that Doctor didn't do that would change things? And
yeah.
Again, when you're in the game, trust me, I know you're not going to be able to think of every single thing on a checklist like we're doing right now, and it's hard to make this play in the game. But you used a judgment to get hack, and in that Arcana pack, there was a gold card, and we all know Doctor was going to grab the gold card or grab something else for deck manipulation. Was not going to use that judgment, in my opinion. So right there, you created a significant advantage for yourself in divergence by having something to re-trigger glass cards, to re-trigger scoring effects like a ancient or an idol. Right there, you gave yourself a huge advantage. Once you did that and you know you got that, and there's a very, very, very small chance that Doctor got it, my strategy would have changed to, okay, we completed the divergence. Now let's play into the hack a little bit. Okay. And with that known, I would feel pretty comfortable here selling the pants, selling the hit the road, grabbing the clown to see twice as many shops for all intents and purposes. Yeah. Plus, you already scaled Full House a couple of levels, which is really solid. Like, once you've scaled that a couple times, if you can get any kind of enhancements to your 2s through 5s and play more Full Houses, you're probably going to be fine for the blinds on Black Stake. So that would have been my thought process. And, of course, it's compacted by the fact that clown is negative. So while you do have to sacrifice 2 jokers here, having a 6 joker slot for the rest of the game, especially one that's doing something significant like that, is really, really powerful.
Yeah, I think at least for sure, like the pants as much. Yeah, I like those. I like those a good bit, but I think you are right, and I recognize this. The scaling on that does fall off pretty quickly. And yeah, like you say, you need something like ancient or, you know, the bloody stone or things that are gonna be re-triggering and giving you malt in that fashion. So yeah, I mean, I guess I probably should have just leaned more into the hack than even like, you know, because hit the road, if you make your whole deck like jacks, okay, that's like a nice bit of times malt. But if you're playing, you know, 5 glass 5s and then they're also re-triggering each time, like that's just better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use a calculator, so like I just kind of go by, you know, sometimes just like feel or like past experience, but it's like, you know, when I'm actually thinking of it, like on the outside looking in, I'm like, yeah, that it makes much more sense to lean into that hack. Because at this point in time, I was still like pretty thinking like, oh yeah, I'll just make some more jacks, and then maybe I'll make a few more like, well, there I got the glass too, so that I was like, okay, we're gonna like try to focus on twos as well.
Yeah.
I think my attention was too divided if you're trying to deck fix like, and you have 2 focuses rather than just the one. You're giving yourself a bit of a disadvantage, I would say.
No, I absolutely, but I don't think any of your thought process was. I don't want any time when we're talking to make you feel like you were wrong about something. It's more like here's how things could have played differently, or you could have played slightly differently. But I think all of your decision making with the thought process that you went into the game, like we talked about already, of like this is how I'm going to try and beat Eli. It all makes sense. Like nothing here was irrational or just like flat out wrong. But yeah, again, that has more points. I would say the one other thing that's happening here is because you're playing a pretty substantial hand in Full House, and you have the oops, and you have a holographic Space Joker, it's really hard to scale the pants at all because you keep one-shotting.
Yeah.
So that also, like, even in a normal Balatro run, I would probably keep pants. I'm not going to say I wouldn't just to win, but it's not going to be. I would probably trade out for a red card, let's say, if I saw it or something like that, just because it's so hard to scale. You basically are going to scale it once per blind because you're going to keep one-shotting.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's true. Like I, even when I'm just playing normally, and yeah, you're just playing whatever hand because you've run out of discards, and yeah, you end up winning anyways, right? So it's like, you know, that is what makes something like pants a bit harder. Whereas like, okay, you get green Joker, it doesn't scale as well per like whatever, but it's always scaling no matter what, at least. So yeah. So here, I'm pretty sure do I make another 2? Yeah, okay. I was like, you know, with the glass 2 already, as like, and there were no jacks in there. I think, you know, if there were a jack, I might have been tempted though, because I was just kind of like, you know.
Yeah. And I do have to say, the reason you won that first round is because you kept hit the road in pants, right? It's like there's
yeah.
no there's no denying that. I would say there 50-50 on me if I use the death on the 2, or specifically in multiplayer, wild cards are the second most powerful enhancement to glass.
Right, because yeah, ancient, and
yep.
This is something I need to learn. I need to remind myself. I'm so used to being like, oh, I don't want to do wild cards because I haven't fought the, okay, hearts are debuffed or this is debuffed, right? So I don't want to lean into hearts too early on because I might just get hard countered by a boss or something. But you don't fight the bosses in multiplayer, so like, yeah, that's something that is like, if you end up getting, you know, Bloodstone or Ancient Joker, that's huge. Even if I guess you have enough deck fixing with the idol, right? Like, yeah. I still don't really like. There's a few times I've seen idol. I mean, the one time you had it, but I was like, how? Like,
well, so here's the thing: is that's another reason to pick wildcard. In general, I think, maybe something to try for your next few multiplayer matches is just upgrade flushes, build towards flush type stuff. But you don't need perfect deck fixing if you have wild cards, right? Because that 2 now counts as any suit of 2 if it picks spade, heart, what have you. That's another reason why I really like wilds, is like it could also supplement a death, right? Now I don't have to death a 2 hearts or use a sun. I could just make it wild. Which also means the other big thing here is if you happen to get idol and ancient, if they're wild cards, they will always get both triggers, which is huge for scoring.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, so that's just like a slight you know, I've been hardwired a certain way from like gold
Absolutely.
stake and everything else. So like I need to maybe like put a post-it on my monitor like, you know, wild cards are okay.
I mean, it's like okay and powerful, but I have to say, like, it still is a 50-50. You kind of just want to maybe make another two, so you
Yeah.
have the card you're building towards. Like, it's not like a huge thing.
Yeah. Okay, what do I do here? There I was probably talking about how Eli would be, you know,
He's gonna grab the egg 100%.
take an egg, you know. Yeah, that's always tough for me too. Like those, like I love hung men, but you know the temperance. Obviously, money's very important. So I'm just like, you know, sometimes do you lean into like cleaning up the deck for the hack's sake or whatever, or do you just go for the immediate money? But I feel like money's always the. I think Doctor said to me somewhat recently, he's like, money's always like the right play, or like it's not the wrong play. You know.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It allows you to see more things than your opponent, and seeing more things is usually going to lead to the win, right? That's just how it is. I would have been maybe tempted. The thing is, I really love keeping the oops because of Bloodstone, and it is helping you with the Space Joker. But it could have been sold on selling that, or again, the pants for the egg for the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't think
it's a sunk cost fallacy a bit too, right? Like, because if I get rid of the pants, then you know, obviously I've lost whatever, you know, malt I put into it, and then it's just less malt that's getting multiplied by hit the road. So it's just like it's hard to be like, okay, do I just get rid of that for the economy and then just lose some lives at this point when I already know that DrSpectred he's been building his economy or like, you know, doing his deck fixing towards whatever he's doing. So it's like it's hard to like, I feel like do a late pivot sometimes just because it's like, well, maybe I have a chance, like maybe his run isn't going as well, and if I just stay the course at this point, like maybe it'll be okay.
And exactly, this is going back to the thing I just learned the first few times is you always are going to feel that and you just have to fight it. And especially it's like winning that first round gives you hope. But I want you in the well, I don't want now I'm really talking like a coach. I think the mindset to have if you win that first round is, oh, I can be more greedy with money because I now have a whole life on my opponent. I have even more time to be greedy.
That's a good way to frame it. I think it's just like, okay, you know, I can at least, you know, maybe they even it up, right? But it's still, they got to work a little bit harder to like get one ahead of me. So that's, yeah, I like that.
So here is one reason. I don't know if it's gonna actually happen in this shop. That I maybe also get rid of oops for the egg is if that glass 2 comes out, you're gonna be like, well, I don't really want the oops and break the glass, right?
Yeah. The other thing I just realized too, like there were the aces in there, right? I like maybe should have just strengthened them into 2s, but yeah, here I was a bit more focused on.
I think if it's gold stake, I like your play because again, you need survivability, you need to be able to score points, so having the extra jack for hit the road is fine. On black stake, again, it's not scary enough where I'm not going to greed for extra 2s.
Yeah.
Though, again, the extra jack helps you in this round against Doctor. There is that, and that's fair. So,
yeah,
I wouldn't definitely not beat yourself up over that decision.
And I feel like, oh yeah, I was probably, I'm saving the death for the glass. Wait, did I see the glass 2 yet?
No, you didn't.
No, so that's why I'm pretty sure I was saving the death for that.
Yeah, I would have 100%. That's the right play.
Yeah. So we're just like, you can see he's kind of still building up to something on his other end, like,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, in my head the whole time I'm like, what is he doing? Like, but it's always tricky because I'm like,
Well, the
maybe
interesting.
he's just like struggling a little bit. Like some of the matches I've had against him, they just didn't quite go his way, and then other times they do. So uh it's like, because when I've done the nan inf attempts, and I spent thousands of dollars re-rolling for burglar or showman or whatever the heck it is, right? And I'm like, he doesn't have thousands of dollars, I know that much. So like, maybe I do just get a little bit lucky, and he's re-rolling for something and he just doesn't get it. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So here, one comment is, I get this question asked so often. I would not have taken any of the planet cards. I would have just kept the Fool on a strength. Though I don't think it's the end of the world, because if you're not re-rolling, you're going to use the Hung Man and probably the Death before you would see a Fool, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, honestly, watching that, like right now, I'm like, why the hell did I do that? Because I've been leveling up stuff with Spaceman pretty readily. So yeah, I do think it was just kind of like a bit of a waste of money. And then, as you also say, like, and that's something I do a lot too. I think of like, what was the last thing I used for Fool? And that's why sometimes when I open up a planet pack, I just won't even take anything if what I'm looking for isn't there, right? So yeah, I think doing the strength or with the Fool would have been a pretty good play.
No, exactly. And the thing is, again, it's not a mistake, because you knew you weren't gonna re-roll because you're at $25. There's no Fool in the shop. You're gonna use the Hangman as soon as you get in here. So it ends up not mattering. Yeah, I guess the play there's just don't buy the planet pack.
Yeah.
Comment here. I don't. So the issue with holding the Death is you can't see another Death while you're holding one. So you want to use as fast as possible. I would discard everything to go find that glass too.
Yeah, that's something I've also tried to like work on a little bit more in runs, is especially because we have this deck. You start with the Terra Merchant, right? So like you're even more likely to come across a Death in a shop or whatever, but you're not going to see it if you're holding on to it. So I think it's yeah, just like, okay, well, if I don't find the glass 2, maybe just pop it on another 2 and be done with it.
I'm okay with holding it even if you don't see it. My biggest card, and I remember watching this part, and this is when I was like, I'm like, Malf, I think you can have this, because you got the hack he doesn't have, and I think you're in a really good spot here. Absolutely. If you don't see the glass, I'm okay keeping the Death, but I would sacrifice all my hands and all my discards to find it. And I think you had enough points between Hit the Road, Pants, and the Hollow that you could win with just about anything, so you weren't concerned about losing a life.
Yeah, that's true. I think sometimes when I'm playing these sort of things, I'm like, oh, I need to play a 2-pair of Full House to get the malt from the Pants. Like, no, that's just to scale it, right? Like, it still applies. It's the same thing when I have, Runner, and I'm playing a lot of straights. It's like, you still get the chips if you don't play a straight. You're just not scaling it for that one hand. So like, oh, here's a tricky one. It's like, okay, what do I do? I'm thinking about the money, obviously, but I'm thinking about the hungmen and the deck fixing. I think the right play is to take the money right now, but part of me's thinking maybe I'm thinking about the hungmen too. I don't remember what I do here.
I think, again, even split, $20 for removing 2 cards is pretty solid deal, but Yeah, I'm okay with either. I think I now I struggle with this. Even I used to coach like baseball. I did private lessons and I was a tournament coach. And I just sometimes struggle with critiquing people because I don't want them to. I don't want to harp on something, but I do want to use this as an example of. Doctor says this a lot of like, you didn't lose when you lost. You lost like 4 rounds ago. A big thing here, and this is just the harping on the point of, if you would have used all your hands to find the glass 2 and use the death, now you have a second death from
Yeah.
this fool, right? So it
Yeah.
snowballs a little bit. But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
in terms of this decision, it's one of those where there's almost bliss in. I don't think you could go wrong. Either way, you're probably making the right one.
I mean, but you are right, and that is something that I do try. I think this is like a weird flub up, maybe of like the pressure, of like the situation. But normally I do try to get more of the good stuff, like get that death, because yeah, in those moments when we open a tarot pack, I'm more likely to pull up that glass 2 again. You know, and then I could have, you know, then use the fool would have been set on a death, and you know, it definitely like has a big snowball effect, as you say. So I mean, there, you know, we finally got it, but like I've been holding on to that death for a little bit, right? Like,
yeah.
And then yeah, at this point, I'm like, okay, don't break them.
Don't break them.
Which is
Don't
a smart
touch
play, with the oops, up there.
No, very good play.
Yeah, because I'm like, you know, we need to. I know I need to use glass to beat DrSpectred. I didn't need to use it to beat like these blinds. So, see, and there, I'm opening another planet pack. Like, even though we found what I was looking for, I'm like, no, you just had a temperance.
Yeah.
Right? We could have rolled, maybe got another fool. But now
I also probably don't grab the steel ace just because one times 1.5.
yeah.
Maybe if you're sure you and your opponent have like the same build. Yes, but I mean, your whole plan up to this point and it's working is you're not on the same trajectory as Doctor. So I don't think the 1.5 is gonna.
Oh wait, did I take the steel ace?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I and that's like, because recently I've had some runs or instances where I was like, you know, yeah, it's not worth it. So like I've done the opposite. I just think I need to stick to my guns on that because yeah, like you say, like, you know, I'm looking for 2s.
Ace is close.
Or still, yeah, I think maybe that was my thinking at the time, was like, okay, I can strength it. And then at least like when I'm discarding cards, you know, and getting 2s and holding, like, you know, if I have an extra 2 at some point and it's steel, I could just leave it in the hand and it just helps me a little bit. But yeah, I still think like it muddies things up a bit, at least in the interim, because it's not a 2 yet. And if I were to draw it in my hand, I might try to like hold on to it rather than, you know, discarding it looking for an actual 2 or like the glass 2s.
That makes sense.
So that I mean, I knew I wanted the blueprint. And my thinking was, because I know I do pivot away from Spaceman at some point. And my thinking was, well, this will help keep up the maybe the pace that we're still scaling, whatever. And then I can also use it for hack or hit the road jack. But now I can use my glass a little bit more readily because it's not as, you know, twice as likely to break. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
you know, maybe I mean, probably should have just got rid of the pants or hit the road jack. I don't know.
I think it's one of those where I probably sell Spaceman, but then I'm probably gonna sell Oops All Sixes anyway because I'm gonna use the glass. It's fine. It's one of those that again, this is why I was more willing to get rid of some of that stuff earlier for the egg, maybe. I will say on that first, again, this is really getting into the nitty gritty,
That's
but
fine.
it matters. Right here, I just, instead of discarding, I play, so I can use more discards on the jacks. Same thing if I had purple seals. It's just, I use my hands as the discards until I can get the value out of the discard.
And I think I probably, that once I get down to like one discard, I probably play something here to be like, okay, well, try to get some more jacks. But yeah, I think you're right of like, just try to play a couple things. Like it's gonna come down to whatever my last hand is, anyways, right?
Probably, especially now that you have glass, and you're probably gonna blueprint the hack for the ×2 on the glass, if not ×4, because you get both of them.
Yeah.
You're
can't remember.
You're near the scaling basically where playing multiple hands doesn't really do much. It's more of the final hand.
Yeah. Even here, like having blueprint on the space like in these is kind of dumb. Like at least I should have probably put it on the pants to get like a little extra something like leveling up a pair or high card. Like it does nothing, or having an increased chance to do it. So like, yeah, that's just like, you know, it's a little thing, but like if the score is like kind of close, it does make a difference, right?
Yeah. I was thinking the same exact thing, where it's like, for what you're doing right now, it probably makes a lot more sense to just get every ounce of scoring. Oh yeah, I would have been copying the pants, or I think you had 0.5 on hit the road at that. No, you didn't. Yeah, I would have copied the pants. Here.
So this is
fun fact. Well, yeah, I think the math still checks out. Because your hit the road is ×2 and the glass is ×2, copying hit the road's better because it does the ×2 after all the points.
Right, but if I had a second glass, then
hack is 100%.
Yeah, no, that's
I was like, maybe
sense.
the chips matter, but at 240 and they're all low cards, I don't think so.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something. Being more mindful of, it's like I've had some, what was it? Just those instances of like, oh, if you have like X amount of glass, copy this. Otherwise, copy this, right? That's something that it can be hard for my brain sometimes to figure out.
Especially in multiplayer, the amount of times I pause and my chat will just listen to me mutter to myself like, okay, this is 6×2, this is 4×2. Like, tried every possibility of blueprint copying or what to play. Because it matters. It's just, it's not always intuitive, especially since in Balatro, your math is going in steps. So it's like parentheses on everything.
Yeah. So there I bought the telescope. Which, I mean, I think, you know, I get a bit too focused on, you know, these planets. Like, I mean, obviously at this point, it's like, okay, well, I know there's going to be a full house there, and it scales like okay, but I don't, again, at this point, I think it's like irrelevant.
Exactly. You're high enough where the time, like, each planet is only adding, like 5%, maybe, if that.
Yeah. And it's just like, well, that's $10 down. And now that I have the telescope, I'm even more like, anytime I see a planet pack, I'm gonna buy it. Unless maybe it's like the $8 one that I might be like, that's not quite worth it. But so it's just like a great way to ruin my economy, I guess.
You also lost $2 of economy of just buying a $10 voucher like that. And something to think about is like, well, now if I'm on that hand, I got to commit to strengthening one of these glasses so I can have glass 3s and 2s instead of just 2s.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, temperance. Yeah. There's a 2. I wonder. I might have been tempted to. Oh yeah, the justice. Yeah, yeah. I didn't see that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the right play. I think.
Yes.
Um.
Absolutely.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. Temperance though, still, but yeah. Oh, Fibonacci. But that's.
It's like you already did the work by leveling up a hand. Fibonacci's not nothing, but the fact that it's eternal and now I can't add anything to that spot.
Yeah, I did take it. This is where I
I
was
know.
like, because I knew I was gonna get away from Spaceman, where okay, yeah, without the oops, it's not hitting quite as much, and you know, we've already scaled it, and I've got the telescope, blah blah blah. So my thinking was like, this does like, it's better. Actually, maybe I get rid of the pants right here. I can't remember. Because it's like, well, this is better with the hack than the pants are. The pants are at 24, right? So, I get rid of one of the two, clearly, but I'm struggling of like, okay, do I keep trying to level up for a little bit more, or yeah, but like. I mean, I don't know what the yeah, because it's eternal, right? So you can't get rid of it.
That's the big thing, and it's just not significant enough. It's basically significant for the first glass, right?
Mhm.
So it could for maybe the first your next PvP battle. Let's say you're not going to have all 5 glass yet, so it's going to probably double your score before you get the glass. So it does act as a ×2. The thing is, it's a temporary ×2, as in it's not going to be a ×2 once you have all 5 glass cards, and you're not going to be able to ever get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, I guess I was like, well, you know, it's gonna help us out a bit more like right now than the Space Joker is like doing, but long term it's not like a monster play, you know. It's not like getting your, you know, Ancient Joker or a Bloody Stone or something, right? So yeah, so here, yeah, we just
Here we go with the full house after the hermit makes me want to cry.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, see, even like normally I would go for the
no, I know.
the hermit, but like I don't know, I was just in this weird like, okay, just like keep scaling every little bit, you know, frick the economy. And to be fair, I've had like it's hard because I don't know if we like, I think if we reviewed the matches the other day that I beat the doctor, there might be, you might cringe, you might be like, oh, like I can't believe that worked, right? It's like a broken clock is right twice a day, so I feel like I need to not like, I don't know, like embrace the frick the economy approach I've had against Doctor too much, because it probably burns me like 9 times out of 10, really. But yeah.
It probably will. No, it definitely will. The times I will say there's times that Eli can just over optimize, especially on higher stakes in PvP. But in that case, you don't need to then under optimize. You just need to be like, well, I'm still gonna do little things to survive, because you know what I mean. And here is, again, not to harp on it, but this is like old decision coming back to bite us. Is we could have, if we didn't have Fibonacci Eternal, we could have Onyx Agate right now for a temporary boost to our score that we can then sell later.
Yeah. Yeah.
It basically accomplished the same thing.
Because I think too, I think I might have looked or I think I had more two of clubs.
You had the moon card there, but I mean, this is such a hyper or what's the word I'm looking for? You know what? So many other things would have had to happen. Let's not stress about it.
Yeah, and this was interesting too because I was pretty confident that Eli took Campfire. As well. I was like, well, I know he's gonna have like a big economy, so you know, he's probably gonna take it. And he's like, well, you know, maybe I should do it too. And like, I mean, it helped a little bit, but I'm not sure if this upcoming match, if actually no, I think we do win this one.
I think you do, which it's then hard for me to say it was not the right play. I probably wouldn't have done it, but I love your facial expressions. There
it's
too,
the struggle.
you have another glass card. I know it's scary, but I'm probably getting rid of the 5s because it's like those ones retriggering don't matter. So any other pair with my 2s will do. So making sure to get everything out of my discard.
That's a good point.
You did. Never mind. My bad. I thought you only picked 4 cards. You did it with the 4s. Okay. That's the part. Okay. That's where you discarded 2. I maybe discard everything looking for glass.
Yeah, I think it was just like, well, now that I have Fibonacci, you know, and that was my play. I was like, well, I'll put the lucky on those in case they, you know, give me the extra 20 or maybe even 40 malt. Like, but
yeah, I see that.
20 no, I mean, but the glass is like a significant play, and
each one's ×4 with well, no, each one's ×8 right now.
Yeah. Plus, look, I still have a discard, and I still have 4 hands, right?
Yep.
I think maybe I just like forgot that I had more glass. I don't entirely know.
That you were thinking that you still only had the 2. That's honestly valid. Hey, you know what? The campfire won you that round.
It did.
Although you could have accomplished that by finding the other class.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because that's like one of those things where I'm just like, okay, like, you know, if I can just stay a life ahead of them, like, then
had 2 lives because I think he lost one to a blind.
Did he? Yeah, I know. There's been a couple times, especially on Gold Stake, where he's lost to a blind. Whereas my early chaos of like skipping for like whatever, like a hollow joker or this or that has just helped me enough to not die to whatever boss.
No, absolutely. Again, I think some of your decisions in this game, I wouldn't be complaining as much on Gold Stake. I think they're a little bit like the hollow skip, for example, on Gold Stake is like I personally probably don't do it, but I'm not gonna tell you not to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. It's one of those things. I mean, I've been bit by it a lot before.
Well, yeah, I guess you could end up with a perishable rental hollow. I forgot about that. Yeah, I definitely don't do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here. Okay, yeah.
That was some good discarding.
I'm just trying to get the money.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't, but it doesn't really matter in terms of scoring. Like, yeah, that's I remember, okay, I know at some point towards the end, we do drop Jack.
Oh, here it is. When I was
Yeah,
like,
the idol.
the idol. So my thought process here is, if the idol hits any of your low cards, that card becomes a _8 with blueprint and hack. And
Yeah.
so it's like I knew I couldn't tell you in chat because I'm in this league.
Yeah,
It would be unfair. But I was just thinking in my head, like, you have to drop hit the road or campfire for idol. Like, there is a chance. Don't get me wrong. There is a chance it becomes 0, but most of the time it's going to be no work to get you way more than either of those.
Yeah, I think the struggle for that is like, do I want to throw away a sure, okay, it's not a lot with hit the road, but like I could at least get a bit of malt there. Whereas, I mean, at this point, I've got 50 cards in my deck, and it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I think in hindsight, maybe I take the gamble knowing that DrSpectred like will usually come up from behind and spank me, but yeah, it's a tough one with how big my deck is, but because I don't currently know how many like 2s I have, but I need to be better about taking out. I also need to be better about taking the wild cards because of that too, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like a lot of these decisions are now like things we talked about early in the match. With that knowledge, you make a different decision. So it's kind of, we're just reiterating them at this point. But one thing to keep in mind with idle, especially since you happen to level up full houses, which is actually really nice for this, is you will almost assuredly at least get ×2 out of it, right? Like, you just have to find that rank. And if you hold a wild card, you could possibly get ×4. If it hits a 2 through 5, you'll get ×8 out of it. Like, there's so many scenarios here that you will probably get something. And the biggest thing with idle is, while you want to deck manipulate, blah, 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 it's not going to require other effort, if that makes sense, like Campfire is, where you have to spend some economy or consumable slots.
Yeah, I guess the other thing too is like I'm playing full houses, so even if it doesn't hit the 2s,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah, I could just put a pair of whatever, like, and just have one of the pairs be what the idol wants, and then everything else be the 2s.
So basically, in that shop, you saw the wild. If you held that to the PvP blind, it's like, as long as you get a pair, let's say, of that card, again, it's assured a ×2, likely a ×4, could be a ×8, could be more if it hits the 2s.
Yeah. Boy.
That was another time where I was like, no, Malf, you got this. Because I was thinking in my head, because I was just watching your POV at this point, that looking at the scores, in sign that you got the hack from the judgment, I was like, he doesn't have retriggering. So if you have your glass, you get the idol too with the retriggering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been. Oh, and like, yeah, because he's holding on, but now if I mean, he had the 1 life, so if I could have just put him out of his misery a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
With the retriggering, then yeah, he can't build his economy, and then he can't like look for whatever the heck he ended up beating me with. I mean,
there was an argument there. It was on the 5 of hearts, right? And since you have hack, there's an argument there. You just skip to the PvP blind with the wild card that was next to the idol, and you just, if you could get 3 glass 2s, one of the heart 5s, and then another 5 you wild,
yeah,
the game should be over.
Well, that's the problem. I didn't even like, because I guess against Doctor, I have not been shy. There's some matches where I skip both small and big blind just to preserve on gold stake, like the perishable stuff. And it did help. It paid off. But I just didn't even look and see that it was on the 5 of hearts, right? I was just more
Yeah.
like, oh, it's the idol. I'm a big baby. You know, I don't have enough deck fixing, so I just didn't even, my brain didn't even get to that point of like, well, what is it actually on? Like, and could I take advantage of that? So
Yeah.
that's like a small little thing that I should be more mindful of too.
Yeah, and just in general, what I tell if I'm talking to people about playing multiplayer, I would start to think of the idol always as a times two. And even though it can be annoying or it can be work, it it's kind of like, did my stream go offline? 1 second. No, it didn't. Okay, good. You work for the idol, right? Like if the idol hits some weird card for your PvP battle, it's like you go into that battle figuring out how do I get a wild, how do I strength something. Like I make it work because it's such a big deal. But this Malf, I hate to say it, I'm pretty sure this was. Well, let me see what you did. Maybe I remember getting very triggered. Yeah. So here,
I should have justiced the two and then fooled it.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
no,
it's not a big
that's
deal. But I think right there, I was thinking to myself like, that's at the end of
that's
the
the
day.
nail in the coffin
Yeah,
right
we
there. And
talked
then look
about
at another fool shows up.
exactly, and then I think you used it again, and I was
Oh,
like,
I used
no.
it for no, because like I'm like, oh, everybody's always talking about money, 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 and so like, but yeah, no, the glass is at this point in the run, I think
It's
it
times
it,
eight.
it definitely takes more priority. Uh, but yeah, okay, and then here, this is where I drop Jack for the hanging Chad, which
I
you know.
yeah, and I was kind of talking to myself. I'm like, no, Malf, you can't. At this point, I was like, don't tell me you you wasted the strength, and now you're gonna even. The Chad is still the right play. Don't get me wrong, but I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I was so upset because I'm like, you could have had the glass with the Chad.
I know,
You
I
could have had it
know.
all.
It's yeah, no, that's and it's weird too because like going into this, right, you're like, you know, glass is very important. So like I knew that too. So that previous tarot pack like misplay hurts a lot.
And
Because there were twos in there that I could have put it might be one thing if like, okay, well, there's no twos, there's no fives, like so maybe you just go for the money instead of putting the glass on some random thing.
I think there was a two.
There was. That's why I'm
Oh
saying it
yeah.
was such a misplay. Like
Oh
if there
yeah.
wasn't a two, then maybe
Yeah,
maybe
you
you can
still made me
justify
do
the
it.
money.
Yeah. Um, the fool in the shop here was, I would say, the part that was more upsetting. But the way to think about it is, like, built, especially since we're playing vanilla, where glass is still the times two instead of 1.5 in the ranked matches. Always go for the glass. But let's say you're in this position, right, where you're both down to one life. So there's not a future to think about. There's just the next round. Well,
Yeah.
even then, just you have to remember your re-triggers, right? So if I have hack, that glass is now times 4. That already surpasses campfire. I got blueprint
Yeah.
with the hack. Now it's times 8. I got Chad. Now that glass is times 16. And that's why obviously glass re-triggers is so important. And I know you know this. This is more for chat. Is it's logarithmic scaling. Like you're exponentially growing every single time with that glass versus something like campfire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and I was actually like talking about that briefly before we started too, of just like how powerful something like chat is with you know, Bloody Stone or you know, ancient or whatever, right? Because okay, yeah, we got a big campfire, but like if I'm re-triggering a piece of glass and like an ancient joker a couple more times, like that's like you know, what's the saying, like elephant versus a coughing baby or something, I don't know, like
Yeah, kind of. I kind of get what you.
yeah.
Yeah.
um Yeah, but here, yeah, we're just pumping the fire. Oh yeah, this is where I mean, this is where I lost it because he hit the road jack and he made a bunch of jacks. So I think he got that photograph and
So I actually think the bigger. So I would take photograph, but arguments here not to. I don't think it's the end of the world that you did. Like despite everything that's happened up until this point, you win here if you sell Campfire for Dusk.
right, and yeah, and there's that was the difference maker in like match 3 was he ended up getting a Dusk right before the final. We both had like 1 life. Yeah, I don't know why. I just
You were very focused on the Campfire, and again, we are watching this with 2020. I would not have made all these decisions I'm talking about when I'm playing. I probably would have made like half. So it's still like, but it is good if when you watch it, go over it now, like maybe your brain could have little alerts when it sees certain things, just to like, even if you're focused on something else, hopefully slow down and be like, oh, okay, well, wait, there's a Dusk. Is this gonna help?
I mean, yeah, it's like it's painful to see me just like so quickly move past it because like I've already established, like I just took hanging Chad. Like I know the significance of re-triggering the glass. We've got blueprint, we've got hack. Like Dusk just sends us to the through the stratosphere. Compared to the Campfire. And I think it's one of those things of like, well, I've been winning. Campfire was a difference maker in a previous like couple rounds against them, so that's where I was just like, I was kind of fixated on that a bit more, to the point where it just was detrimental of like, okay, now you're avoiding taking things that are just objectively mathematically superior to it, and that was it was not great. But that, I think, this is where he surpasses me. Well, he has to, because he has 1 life left and we know he wins this match, so
I can't remember what the...
Yeah, so I was upset too because I had the 3 pieces of glass and I was like, oh yeah, I've got this. Look at me. I'm just like, yeah, all right, here we go. Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna play something and my eyes are gonna pop out of my head. Oh, Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, there we go. The classic.
Yeah.
Now I want to see what his score was, because this is going to determine how hurt we are. Okay, E13.
Yeah.
So maybe the Dusk doesn't fix it, but
I don't know.
I don't
like
60 million times 8. I mean, what definitely changes it if you kept the full with it. So 60 million times 8 is...
Could have had more glass too.
No, that's what I mean. If you had the full and Dusk, I think you get very close to E13. But yeah, as soon as this happens, I mean, we don't really need to watch the rest, because it's kind of like, okay, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I think he had, I know it was the jacks. It might have been 5 glass jacks.
Yes.
With the photograph as well. I don't. Maybe he did take Dusk. I can't remember, but
probably, maybe, I don't know. I'd have to see his POV. But I mean, that's... In
I
one
was so
sense,
defeated at that point. I was just
no,
like,
absolutely. I've felt that where it's like, oh, especially if you're playing on higher stakes, uh, you're like, okay, well, not much you can do at this point.
yeah,
But the thing is, and maybe this is definitely something I think to be happy about, is like you were playing against the best Balatro player in the world, and we pointed out 20 things I think so far that you could have done differently. No,
yeah,
but here we go. If you did 5 of those, you beat him. So you're not far off from being one of the best competitors in this competition. I think everybody here is really good at Balatro, and it's going to be stupidly close every single game. But
yeah.
I think there's definitely positives to take. That's what I came away like. Oh man, like Mouse
He
gonna
has so
lose
much
this one, but
potential because he's such an idiot right now. Like, no,
but
I
you
get
made
what
a
you're
lot of
saying.
good decisions, and you put yourself in. You basically got yourself like 8 or 4/5 the way there, and it was just that. Honestly, that final shop had so many things that could have went slightly differently, and
Better,
we could just blame Campfire. It was just it got you distracted. That's really all that happened.
yeah. I'm not even like Norm. I'm not even crazy into campfire. I think the reason why I took it and I stuck to it was like I was like I know he's taking this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I know he's got a lot of economy and he's playing from behind, and so like that's maybe his way of getting back into this, and that just kind of like it stuck with me more. I was just like it's like, well, if he's taking it, then and I already have the leg up and I take it, like, but yeah, it definitely clouded my judgment, right? Of like where I just like totally ignored the dusk, and yeah, like you say, the misplays with the glass stuff. That was just like, even to like that's I'm just kind of wondering like how I even made those decisions in that moment, because it, like, watching it, I'm like, that, like, my brain doesn't think that way. Like I knew I should have taken the glass. Like, why did I not do that? So
And again, it's because you're streaming and playing in a competitive match. The combination of the two is gonna
there's a
like,
lot of
yeah,
layers. Even just normally playing Balatro, anybody that actually plays it knows that, okay, it takes a good bit of thinking. Then you add the layer of your streaming on top. You might get a couple people resubbing or asking like what you're doing, right?
Yep.
And distractions. And then I've got like IRL, maybe a cat trying to eat a plant or something like that. And then you're also like, okay, now I'm playing against like the best Balatro player in the world, and I'm focused on what is he doing, and maybe I think too much about what my competitor is doing. That's not necessarily. That's something I go back and forth on, of like, do you try to interpret what they're doing, because you're playing the same seed, right?
yeah.
So you're sort of seeing the same shops, depending on how much you roll, like. Or do you just say like, nah, frick it, like I'm gonna do my thing and not waste brain power on contemplating what they're doing?
I
You
would
know?
most of the time I do that. I think this is the point where I spend some brain time on what they're doing to like be like, okay, what do they get to get E13, and are they going to scale higher? Was that a one-time thing that they're never going to do again? Just thinking about what you've seen in the shop. And my read on the situation is like, no, he's going to be able to do that most of the time, right? So we have that goal in mind of like, okay, how the heck do we get to E13? And this is, again, I mean, a little bit part of the misplay where at this point it's now about recovery. It's about what possibly can get me to that score, and it's really just maybe ancient and then probably idle. So with that in mind, we have to make lots and lots of money. At this
Yeah.
point, you really have to pivot to anything for money and forget
Yeah,
Campfire.
feeding campfire here, like that's not the play. I think I was just like shell shocked.
No, and the fact that you're full house in it one shot, I think probably also led to you being like, oh, I need to have a bit of scoring for the blinds. But you got a little unlucky with like the times 20s on the lucky cards. You were gonna be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's It's tough.
Man,
It's
really
yeah, because I
unlucky.
definitely I know I don't do at that point when he puts up that big score, like the whole recovery stuff. My brain just shuts down
Yeah.
too. Not to say like, you know, I couldn't recover. You know, but at this point, my economy is that's another reason why to keep a good economy. Um, you know, for when it gets to this point of like, okay, well, now they've surpassed, like we need to be able to re-roll and like, okay, maybe I roll more and I get the dusk and that helps, or I get the ancient, or I get the idol, whatever, right? But
Yeah. Because
at
I
this
actually
point I'm
think
just in a death spiral.
ancient. Let's say you're able to get all the suits. You're gonna go down a little bit in level because of flush house, but you have fib, so who cares? Um, ancient in a suit changer might have been able to get you 13 here with blue. Like you'd blueprint the ancient. You have hack. You have fib, or I mean, you have hack and Chad. Would have been really close. So yeah, it's not that. Again, the chances of you seeing one of two uncommons is not high. Like the chances here, like it probably feels a little defeating. But if you played every single lucky card with Chad, for example, and you saved all your money with Campfire, there's a chance that like there's not a non-zero chance that you roll into those in the shop. So it's like keep trying to keep the head up and being like, there's still paths to victory in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, at this point, my brain, yeah, I got like no money, and
No prospects, no money.
yeah, no cash, no jobs. And I'm just trying to think like, yeah, I don't at this point I don't even know what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm praying that the lucky cards are gonna hit. That's why I got rid of the Empress. I guess. Uh, yeah. And then the other thing I'm constantly thinking of like, okay, he put up like an E score, but maybe he had a lot of glass that just broke, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe that was like a desperation play by him because he's been on one life for a little bit. So maybe I just I get lucky and I don't need to try to like reinvent the wheel. I just need to, but um
I will say
yeah.
if that is the thought process, same thing applies though, where you have to be uh, discarding more to make sure you get all your glasses out to give you the best chance.
Yeah. Yeah, I hold on to stuff in fear that I won't draw.
Yeah, and I think
Got,
with knowing that he put up such a big score, it's like, okay, let's say he gets half that this time, right? He gets 70 billion. It's like, okay, so that maybe that's the artificial goal in your head. How do we get there? And it's like it's one of those things that I think multiplayer's actually made it easier than in normal Balatro for me, where it's like, you know what? If I don't draw it, I was gonna lose. Like you lose, right? But if I hold on to this, I know I lose. So what's the point?
yeah.
But again, you have to. It's like you do set that artificial score in your own head. You don't.
Yeah. Wait, is this so with the 2 glass
It's about the same. Because
to
it's
do hack versus hanging?
yeah.
But if you had 3 glass, it's definitely hack, right? But
Yes, but
1 glass
actually,
would be
hack's still
chat.
the play here for money because you're getting the times 2 later. It's the play for score and money.
That's true. I did get the at least $20.
Yeah, you
Lost the
went down to
glass.
E11, so
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't remember. I think I was just like, oh, it's like I do believe I dropped campfire for it. I'm like, I need to make more glass, maybe.
yeah, I think that's valid.
Yeah, well, at this point, like I just lost a piece of glass. It's the only way I'm gonna even have a chance. So that at least at that point, I'm like, okay, well, campfire's not it. Um, yeah, I think, and then I start looking for maybe more glass. I don't know if I should have. I mean, it works with Fibonacci, but the three,
Yeah, and you're playing full houses. I think that's totally fine.
yeah.
I
Um,
probably would have picked it up as well. I think everything you did here with what you have at this point, totally fine and good. Um, the eternal Fibonacci's like really biting us.
oh,
The,
and then I skip over the bloodstone. Yeah, I was
it's
like,
I don't know if I take it here. I probably like I this is where you legitimately have to pull out the calculator and be like, okay, if I get
yeah.
5 hits of bloodstone, how close am I to E11?
Well, I pretty much, it's like I'd have to drop the DNA for it. I'm not gonna drop the hack. I can't drop, but you know, if I could drop Fibonacci, that would have maybe been what you do, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that was tough because I was like, you know, if I had seen that a bit earlier, you know, I could have leaned into, you know, making more hearts. But again, if I made more wild cards, then it wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah, and
So
this is
that's
why I always, in multiplayer, I'm going to make hearts / wild cards. That's where my
yeah,
head's always going to go because the best thing to do is
yeah.
get re-triggering X-Molt.
hmm
The only
Um,
exception here would be, again, because you like to play on higher stakes, I do think the meta's a little bit different. I think it is valid to maybe, if you get an Onyx, if you get an Arrowhead to not go to the hearts, because the game is just shorter. People lose lives and blinds on gold stake. It just happens. So just having points there is more valid.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. Um, and then I don't really know what I'm looking for. Um,
I think at this point you're just like, I mean, we can even skip ahead. At this point, it's kind of like,
yeah,
okay,
I'm trying to make
let's
glass
glass
tubes
card.
as
Yeah,
like,
make all 5 glass 2s, and is that enough?
yeah,
I think the only thing I do slightly different is I do that in the small blind, and then I'm trying to just find econ to maybe roll into one more thing to help with scoring. But
mm-hmm.
because at this point you have, I think, 6 glass 2s, and you had 2 glass 3 or glass 5 and a glass 3. Um, it's kind of like probably enough.
Yeah, that's Emperor Judgment. Yeah,
This
I will.
one, yeah, sell DNA, use the judgment, see what happens.
Yeah, because we've got enough glass at that point to, you know,
Yep, exactly.
plus and then there's the death there too, so you know can get even more glass. Uh, and then the justice there, so I can get even more glass.
Yeah,
Yes, that's. I mean, you know, it's a long shot, but like the DNA at this point is not really doing much.
I
Um, yep. There's the. I mean, even well,
I think there's an argument for the photo here, and then you play like Jack 3 2s, with a glass Jack first, so it gets the ×2 from the glass and the photo.
yeah,
At least it's better than DNA at that point.
yeah, yeah. It's an improvement for sure.
Though I don't know if it's better than 2 glass 5s. So it's kind of like
Uh,
I don't know. Maybe it's not better. You know what I do here though is I'm discarding everything for the glass and pray I get it all, and I can DNA the steel card to get 2 to get an extra 2.25 on my score
oh yeah. That's fair. Yeah,
instead of the glass. Yeah.
yeah.
I want to see how close the final score ended up being. 11. Honestly, 2.25 is not enough, but if, oh man.
Yeah, it's I mean, I guess I'm still like kind of yeah. I made some poor mistakes. The dusk and you know, some of the earlier glass that I didn't do would have been big, but at least I was like, you know what? I was able to make more glass, and you know, okay, yeah, it's only 1.5 billion, but like, yeah, I was still like kind of happy that like, you know, I sort of did something. It wasn't enough, but
No,
like,
definitely nothing to feel bad about. I will say, just random math, if you grab the photo and you glass that first card, I do think you win.
oh my god.
Yeah, sorry to tell you. If you
I mean,
so the glass jack with photo and Chad go off, right? It's times 4 3 times. So
yeah,
times 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, and dropping one glass 5 would have subtracted times 8 from your score. So you basically in math, I think you would have hit E12, E13.
holy frick.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's where I just like in my head, like it gets to a certain point where I'm like, I don't know what's better. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't use like the calculator or anything. So, but yeah, that's that hurts. That hurts.
Again, though,
Knowing that,
that's really cool.
yeah,
Again, positive way to look at this is you still played really well, and you played so well that you legitimately you didn't know it and you passed it up, but you had the win.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and it all started well because of the hack, which. How did I get the hack again?
The
Was that
judgment,
was
which
that
is yeah, that
judgment?
was the whole thing. That started this whole lesson of like, boom, you accomplished your divergence. Like, or at least I'm pretty sure that you did. We don't know for
Yeah.
sure he did judgment. We know he probably didn't. And now we could just like rush glass on low cards and see if we can win in 4 rounds before he gets something online.
Yeah. No, I mean knowing him, yeah, you see he took the negative chaos
Yeah,
and
your
he took
build's
that
way better than
bloodstone.
his.
Yeah, if he had seen that hack early, for sure he would have taken it, right? Cuz
Maybe, yeah.
he knows the value in it, like so yeah, that's just one this is a case of like a smarter player
No.
uh
Let's not smarter.
would've
He has like
well
4,000 hours. He's just played more.
that's okay, that's true, but it's one where like yeah, I can't like blame the equipment or anything like that. Like I had opportunities to do better, and as you say, like I had the pieces to get the win, and I just didn't quite, you know, realize it. You know, like
Yeah.
again, passing the dust just doesn't make sense to me. My brain is still rattled, like because like I already had the hack, like I knew the importance of the retriggering. I had the Chad. Yeah,
It's
so
because
that
Dusk is, for me personally, playing normal Balatro. It took, I'm not kidding you, it took me 10 multiplayer games to be like, what the hell am I doing passing Dusk? Like,
yeah.
because I'm just
Well,
so used to be like, I'm not grabbing that.
yeah, no, I mean it makes sense, obviously. And we were only playing on Black Stake 2. And so you know, beating the small and the big blinds was not an issue for me. So like I wouldn't even need to rely on the dusk. You know, outside of going up against, you know, DrSpectred at the end of each ante, right? Like,
Yeah.
so sometimes you can make a case for like, well, you know, yeah, this thing would be really good against my competitor, but you know, I don't want to have to use the glass cards, and I don't want to have to rely on like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it was just an objectively, it would have been good.
Yeah,